and then you have your cogs and your hook shot to interrupt his ult.
So I just played Pudge for the first time today, like played 3 games, but I've been having a harder time hitting the hooks than I do with the hook shot on clock.
Yeah, the hook is
range, you know?
There's a different area to the hook. I think it's like I looked at it a while ago, and I think it's something like hook shot's radius is 125 or 150, and Pudge's hook radius is 100, which is not.
Okay.
It's not like worse because you can when you get better at the hook, you can do some really cool shit where like you hook somebody that thinks they're behind a creep, but they're actually not. Just because of how the geometry works and all that.
Yeah, where they built the colliders in for everything.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we want to go over your last Pudge game because that's the most.
Unless you want to do the turbo thing and go over it like last time with clock or whatever you want.
The thing with Pudge is that's like, again, we can't do that. Like I can't tell you how your hook was wrong in a turbo game too well.
Okay.
And I'd rather just try and like look over like 2 or 3 replays real quick. And the first thing that I want to point out with this one is I don't really like your Atos pickup first in this game.
Okay, yeah, I was just following some guides.
I gotcha. Yeah, the build-up of it's really nice. Like the stats, having 2 bracers early. I don't think you took advantage of that though, did you?
Yeah. I don't know. These games are kind of rough because I wasn't trying to be the support. They're just like they were unranked, you know. So like, I picked Pudge, and then the next pick is Bounty Hunter. I'm like, dude, where are you going? You know what I mean? I picked that I was roaming, and he picked his roaming. Like,
that happens. It
like
sucks.
that kind of shit. Yeah.
But if you're going the Atos route, it's kind of like, why not just have a bracer in your backpack? Let me turn on screen sharing. That probably helps. With your build, you're going Atos, and you never have the bracers in your inventory, which is 12 strength you're just not having over the course of the game. Like, probably from like 17, 18 minutes to 30 minutes, you could have had at least 1 bracer in your backpack or your inventory, and you could have had 2 of them towards the end, and that makes a huge difference because that's 120 health each, 6 damage, and then also your ult scales with it, which means you do more damage and you heal more.
Oh, so its ulti's based on your strength, because that's your like primary attribute or whatever?
It has a strength multiplier built into it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And Pudge is like, one of the ways to play Pudge is just being like a big ass dude that's in the middle of everything, and like you do your little hook and your ult, and then you just like rod around on people and wait for your next hook, and you kind of like, in that time, it's like, it'd be really great if like you got chronoed instead of like your Bloodseeker or your Storm Spirit. So you kind of like want to like take the brunt of some stuff a little bit if you can, depending on if you're ahead or not. And Bracers just helps you do that a lot. Here it's good to just back. Rod is really good in AoEs, but it's also horrible. You can do 30 damage to yourself to do 90 damage to all of these guys at the same time, but then they'll just all right-click you and you'll die. So, unless you're at the advantage, you don't want to be doing that. Like, Bloodseekers doesn't really do anything. Bounty Hunter also doesn't really do anything. You don't really do anything unless you're like outmanning them. But this guy has a heal, he has an AoE nuke, this guy has a time lapse, this guy has a headshot. So they all have abilities and shit that they can do, and all of you guys kind of like don't. So running in here, you're just gonna like, you probably did like 100 damage to him, but now you're down 500 health to do like 100 damage or 200 damage, which is not really how you want to start the game on somebody that relies on doing well in the early game. It's good that you're using your quick buy. But yeah, so you're with the Bloodseeker. A lot of what your problems are going to be in this game is you guys took that early engagement and now you're all low. Right. Whereas if you guys didn't take that engagement and just like the bounty hunter get the rune with his invis, then you could be doing some shit like and this guy got a fucking quelling blade for whatever. He should have got an orb of venom. But you guys shouldn't have taken this. This guy should have an orb of venom, but whatever. And then you guys can go on these guys and push them out of the lane. And then if you get a kill, then you guys snowball the lane and you win hard like that. Other than that, you can't really trade with this guy too well, especially because he has an orb of venom. Your rot doesn't really do anything in a trade unless they're running away. But his death pulse does a lot in a trade. It's 140 health swing, whereas yours is a 0 health swing. Here I'd be... it's fine if you're just trying to get your level 2, but then you should leave.
I think that's what I try to do. But he just keeps dying. The problem is this Bloodseeker just keeps dying, so I don't know what to do.
Here you should definitely be going for the last hits. You can just walk into the range to aggro these guys here, and then pull it back, and then go for the last hits. And that means you get your tranquils like a minute sooner. But like you're just missing these for no reason. You go for the bounty rune, which is fine, but like you missed 4 last hits to go for these, which is not really worth it. Because you probably could have got them anyways and got the last hits. And right now, if you got all those last hits and you got the bounty runes, you'd be at tranquils already almost. And then with tranquils, you can stay on the map as long as you have a clarity, really. This is just you need to commit. Like if we watch the sniper's vision, he'll see you, and then like you like wobble around while in his vision. So it's kind of like if you're gonna go for it, go for it. This is kind of like this play would be fine if it was nighttime, but you just need to understand the day vision difference. This guy can see from here to here. Both dire. Yeah, he can see till here without the tower, and then if he goes high ground, then he can see you. So it's kind of like, well, the gig's up, I should just fucking go on him, or I shouldn't go on him. Doing this shit is just gonna like waste your time. Another small thing to point out is when you have your windlace purchased like this, just throw it on the courier. Because you don't really want to fly out just your windlace when you're getting tranquils. But if the courier's already going out to like your bounty hunter or your pangolier, if you already put your windlace on the courier, then it's gonna like instead of going from base to you, it's going from your Pangolier to you. So the amount of time that you like actually use the courier is only from here to here, as opposed to from base to you and then back to base. It doesn't really matter in this situation, but it's a good little habit to get into. And with this, the hook hits, but it's usually better to rot first, and get on top of them, and then like right click them down, because what that allows you to do is a lot more certainly hit the hook, but also, let's say you guys do this trade, you end up killing him without like any threat of death. Like if you just stuck on him here, you would have been probably, if you rotted him down instead of throwing that hook more, you probably would have been at 500 health and full mana. And wouldn't you much rather be in that situation?
Yeah. So you're saying that you might not even need to use the hook, just like run him down like if it was Clockwork with battery assault.
Yeah, kind of.
Body block him and shit. And...
Yeah, and then if you have to throw the hook later, you can. Or sometimes what happens when you do that is like you do that, the Void comes in, tries to save him, and then he jumps out, and then you hook the Void also, and you get an additional kill with the 140 mana instead of just doing damage with the 140 mana.
So is it always from like a statistical or like an odds point of view, like it's always better to do a point blank hook because it's pretty much guaranteed to hit a point blank hook, right?
It's kind of, think of it like it's a better option, but it's not an always.
Right. But I mean, if the situation allows, and you can, like you're saying, get up on somebody, right?
I would say most of the time. I don't want to say always, because like let's say you run up on the sniper, he's right here, you run this way, you rot him down, and instead of hooking him like while it's point blank, you get to the tower range and then you throw your hook when it's like you're right here and then you're trying to hit the sniper in like this little area. You can get an extra like second of your Storm Spirit being able to right click him if you rot him down and then hook him while he's a little bit farther out.
But the shorter, but I mean like the shorter the hook, the more obviously it's the easier it is to hit. There's less time for him to move out of the way. Right?
It depends. It can be if they're running away from you in a straight line, it's super fucking easy to hit that hook. But sometimes like if they're looking at you and then you try and like hook right here and then they like sidestepped or something like that past you, it can like miss and do some weird shit. Or if you
this match the sniper jukes the fuck out of me. The whole it was infuriating.
Oh well, the thing is, hooks, long range hooks, when you're in vision, are even for me like almost impossible to hit. Like if the enemy sees me, like if I'm right here and the sniper's like over here and I'm trying to hit him with a level 4 hook, the chances of me doing it are like fucking 5-10%. Unless like something else is happening, like an arrow is going on this path, so I know that he has to, like, let's say he's walking this way, and an arrow goes this way, and he has to like dodge to that way, then I can like maybe get the hook. But if he's just like sitting in an open area, and he sees me trying to land a hook, it's not gonna happen unless, like, it's more on him to let the hook hit than it is for me to land the hook, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's just, you shouldn't be going for hooks that are super obvious, like that.
I wish I could start a game, like, with, like, I'd like to know how to start a game as part, I guess, like, the...
There's a ton of different ways to do it, and it's kind of it's hard to put it into words because there's so many different variables and all that. But
like, what do you recommend him as, roamer or like mid or off?
He's definitely a position 4 in my mind. He's his rot just the mechanics of rot make it so that it's much better when you have the upper hand already. Does that make sense? Do you understand that part of it?
Yeah, normally, like, when I face Pudges, usually I'm the offlaner, the solo offlaner, and they'll run a tri-lane, and they pick people with, like, they'll have at least one stun. And then, that's when it seems like it's the most effective, you know what I mean? Because then that allows the Pudge to get out in front of him and rot. And he just rot.
That's a way to do it, but I still see that, he's a position 4, you don't have to always roam him. Like, sometimes I'll have like an Omni Knight off lane, and then I'll just be a Pudge and I'll sit like right here, and I don't even need a stun. I'll usually be able to hit a hook just because people are predictable at higher MMRs, and it's like, alright, he's the way that he's positioned right here, he only has enough time to get the last hit if he positions right here instead of behind the creep, so I can throw the hook, or like say there's...
Is that what the trick is? To like watch for when people try to get their last hits and then hook them there when they're stationary? Like,
yeah, that makes it a lot easier. And oftentimes, like, people don't sit in the creep wave when they're going for the last hit, right? They'll sometimes, like, the creep wave, let's say the creep waves are here, the range creep's like here, and then yours is like here. They tend to not be standing here sometimes. Like, they could just stand here and then go up for the last hit and then run back, and then go up for another last hit and run back, so that they don't get, like, attacked by the offlane Enchantress or some shit like that, or heal bombed by the Omni Knight or whatever.
Right.
So what you can do with that is, they oftentimes run just in time to make it to the creep, and if they do anything other than a straight line, they'll miss the last hit. So when you see that happening, you know that he's basically, like, it's almost like he's axe called to the creep, and you know for 95% certainty that he's gonna walk from here to here, stop, and attack the creep. So it's basically like he's stunned or nightmared or called or something like that, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then you can oftentimes hit a hook during that. And another thing to look for is there's a gap between the range creeps and the melee creeps. So this is a window to look at, because your hook will fit in here, and oftentimes players will feel safe in here. So let's say you were like standing right here, and you're trying to hook this Pangolier, and he's doing some shit like standing on this side, and he's going up for last hits or whatever. You can throw the hook like through here, and that's another really good way to get a lot of hooks. Right here, if you're, let's say you're on the Dire team, you can stand here and then throw your hook like here when the bounty hunter or the Bloodseeker's going for this last hit. I guess he doesn't go for this one, but let's say he goes for that last hit when he was thinking about doing it. He's basically like axe called to it, and he's gonna go straight to it, attack it, and then run back. So you can throw a hook either here or here, and it'll hit him, and that's a very consistent way to land hooks. Does all that make sense? Do you have any questions on that?
No, that makes sense. So I have to get one word there.
Yeah. And usually in a situation like this, where they know that you're there, it's kind of like the gig's out. Like, Pudge is he's about 3 or 4 times more effective when they don't know you're there. Or something along those lines, right? So when they do know that you're there, you all of a sudden lost. You're like half as effective as you used to be. So you can just run somewhere else and then be 2 or 3 times, whatever, as efficient in a different lane. And it's kind of like the dynamic of the lane is you guys aren't going to win the lane against Faceless and Necro. The Faceless is always just going to time walk away whenever you hook him, and then you wasted a spell, and he not only dodged whatever your hook is, plus like probably 2 or 3 right clicks and some rot damage. So he almost always wins the trade. And your Necro, the Necro has a lot of sustain just by his kit. So it's kind of like you don't want to go on either one of these. And you're not going to be able to win the lane with Pudge Bloodseeker. And unless this guy gets Rupture and you hook somebody. So it's kind of like, I'm just going to let this guy do whatever the fuck he can and get whatever last hits he can. And I'm going to let him get the experience that he can so that he's a lot more likely to be able to get the last hits that will heal him up, which will allow him to stay in the lane. So you're doing more harm than good by staying bottom. Because you're just kind of like stealing experience, making this guy weaker, and making the little bit that he's getting out of the lane even less, and you're not helping him get any more out of the lane. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you could do something more on the sniper, or like try and do something up here, and then come back bottom when your Bloodseeker is level 6 at like 6 or 7 minutes if you didn't steal a lot of experience from him. Then that's a lot better way to help him than by just sitting down there the whole time. Like, does it make sense that the Bloodseeker would have got much more help out of you being there for 20 seconds right after he gets his Rupture than being there for 5 minutes during the laning phase? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, so with that, you can help other lanes and help this guy by just not being there. Because you're not going to win the lane, so there's no point. And that's something you just kind of have to look for in your games. Here, let's focus this lesson on the early game of Pudge, because that's the most, the rest is kind of just like build the right items and get your hooks. So I think I can help a good bit more focusing on your early game.
This one wouldn't go good either. The ones I played before this one was a better team count. Like, look at this. They were in safe lane together, the sniper and Jug. I mean, it was just...
Ah, nice. Queue together to steal each other's farm.
Yeah. It went as well as you would have met.
I'm sure.
This game can be so cancerous if you don't have a 5-stack sometimes.
I never 5-stack. All my games are cancer.
Oh.
I don't really like salve on Pudge.
Okay, this is a different... I'm just swapping guides. One guy, I think the Pugma guide said to do the salve, and the other guy, the Tortellini, said tangos.
Yeah. The thing is, the salve gives you less health overall, and it's less gold efficient. And the thing is, when you have a salve, you'll run into a weird range where you're at like 350, 400 health, and you don't want to use the salve because you'll waste a lot of it. But at 350, 400 health, if you don't regen up, you can't do anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't like it either. I agree.
Okay, good. You're not using quick by.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't use it this one. I always use it ever since we went over.
This game, you would have been much better off going mid. And a little trick with TA is if you plan on ganking her, at level 3 you should get a second point in your rot, because your second level of rot lets you break through her refraction charges with it. So it like shits on her really hard.
Okay.
But this game, I would have blocked mid and let the... I would have... Here. When you scare these guys off... Oh, I guess the Luna's blocking mid for herself. This game, the Luna should have got the bounty rune, and you should have blocked mid for her, and then wrapped around. And the creep wave would have been right here. TA's going for a last hit. She'll be like right here. You run up, rot her, and then you guys get a bunch of damage on her. And she actually doesn't have any regen, so you would have won mid if you did that. Okay. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
So I just storm from her high ground to get to her? Like
yeah, you can
come down through there.
They won't see you until here, or till here. So this path's a lot better. But
okay.
If you look at let's look at their vision here. Yeah, they even have a ward here. But they don't have any vision of this path. And then you can run up and like hide in here or hide there or whatever. You could probably even hide like there. I haven't really tried it. But yeah, then you can just run up when she's right here, and then you guys will eat through the refraction. She'll be super slow. You get like 3, 4, 5 right clicks on her. Lena gets 3, 4, 5 right clicks on her. The TA doesn't have any regen, and it doesn't look like she's going for any. So the TA would be useless until she passively gets the gold for a salve. And then if you do it again, then you just win mid. And this girl's, the TA's level like 3 when your Lena's like level 5 or 6. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then if you look at how the game would have gone differently if you were winning mid as opposed to being top, sharing experience and farm with your necromancer or your whatever necro. Is it necrophos? And then yeah, you're taking experience, and you would have done that mid, but wouldn't Lena like be fucking ecstatic to have given up half a level to have this TA not be able to go up to lane at all for forever? Yeah. So it's like you would have gotten about the same experience, but you would have basically been winning the game while you're doing it. And then here you've had no impact, and it's been 2 minutes in the game. And then you die. You suicide, so it's not too bad, but it's 2 minutes in the game, and you've had 0 impact on a hero that relies on snowballing in the early game. So I think that's a good thing to point out in this game. And then we should go to another one, because it's kind of like I want to find the critical mistakes and then move on to the next replay. And I think that's a good way to get a lot of early game decision making in a hour-long session. This is a turbo game, so it's different.
Yeah, this goes bananas. I don't know if you want to look at the other ones or regular games.
Well, I can look at the early game and see how it goes. It's probably got something along the same lines.
Like turbo, you see the craziest shit in the lanes. It's not.
Yeah, you're right. Your guys' lanes seem kind of. What the fuck? You guys have like a mid Doom or Omni Knight. Lol.
Yeah, like the Sven ends up soloing safe lane, like it was crazy.
Oh, nice. 6 Tango build. What a player.
Yep.
The smoke is fine only because it's a turbo game. Otherwise, you should have a clarity. We already talked about the salve. If you're trying to go to a lane, you almost always want to block it if you can. So, when you saw that nobody was going to be taking the bounty rune, you should have went back and blocked. Because if you block this, then the creep wave is back here, which means that the Zeus will be, he's like AFK. So yeah, when the Zeus goes up for last hits, he's all the way up here instead of back here. And you see how much room that gives you to rot somebody down if he's here instead of there. So this guy's like hard to even go on now. And yeah, now it's kind of like, if this was happening back here, which it would be if you block the creep wave, all of this would be different. That was a bad stun by the Sven. That was kind of weird. But now the gigs come up, and you should try to be moving around. The bounty runes, that's good. But you kind of like, I'd be looking to go bottom, which looks like what you're doing. PogChamp regen. This is good. You're showing here though, which gives it all up.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to hook, but they kept telling me to hook.
Well, it's just kind of like you got to know what you got to do, and just like back off, hide a little bit, and then like if they go up, then you can do it. But that right there gave it away, and now you're like half as effective as you would be if they didn't know you're there. See if there's any other small thing before we switch the replays. Actually, let me start downloading the other one. Hopefully that doesn't screw up anything. Now go for the bounty runes. Good. Hook this one, save you some time. You should be hooking it because you're not going to be using hook in the next seconds. It'll save you like 2 or 3 seconds. Another small thing with Pudge, a cheeky little mechanic, is if you soul ring and hook a bounty rune, the refunded mana from hooking the bounty rune stays permanent. Like it doesn't go back like the 150 mana of the soul ring. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to ping this out. This is, you should have waited to hook here, because he's only gonna escape in 2 different directions, and both of them are insanely easy hooks, and it's down here or here, and it's kind of like you're missing a whole telekinesis pullback by throwing this hook. If you waited and then hooked him like here, you'd be a lot, like you'd probably get heal bombed, and then you guys are just, you kill him and you're fine. But then all this shit happens, and yeah, I'm pretty sure you would have killed the Wraith King if you waited for that hook. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's like 3 pretty big mistakes. So let's go to this one. Huskar. Is this this was an actual game, lol?
Yeah.
Right. You guys have like a really wonky lineup.
It's single draft.
Ah, gotcha.
Or I don't know, some shit.
The thing is, Pudge and Techies means that the game's gonna go super late. And you guys have a Huskar, which doesn't want the game to go late. So it's just kind of weird. Starting with Rot is, you shouldn't be doing that when you have a Techies. Because, like, if you land a hook into his mines, you can get some kills. So it's kind of like, you shouldn't start with hook, but you should keep the skill point until you need it.
Okay.
Quick buy. You should have went for the hook there.
On the left?
Yeah. They already know you're here. And it's just kind of like, right here, you know that he's basically just going to be running away from the creeps. Because if he does anything else, then run either this way or this way, he's going to start taking harass from the creeps. So if you throw your hook, like right here, right now, it lands. Right. Like 90% of the time. And if that lands, you rot him down with a Huskar that has burning spears, and you have a creep wave on him, and you just kill him. And then this is, you're going into a 1v2 here. When you're this far away from your carry, and like the Huskar does about twice as much damage and threat as you do after a hook is landed, right?
Yep.
So you're missing 2/3 of your lane's power when you go and do this, and they have all of their lane's power because the Leshrac and the Tusk are here. So here you should be getting like snowballed and like killed, essentially. They're both level 1, so this doesn't end up being too bad, but it's like, it's still horrible. And the only reason that it works out fine at all is because they're level 1. That's just, if you don't get stunned here, you kill him. So one small thing that you could have done is Tangoed before the fight starts, which gives you a little bit of regen. And then this guy has like the most obvious wind-up in the game for his stun. And whenever I have to play this guy, I fucking hate it because his stun's so hard to land. But when you see him doing this thing, just don't be in anywhere in this area and you're fine. So if you just run around and stay behind him, he dies here. But you, like, kind of run into the only place that lets him kill you. That, again, this is a bad hook. You're pulling him away from danger, kind of. Like, you're still danger, but you're as much danger running up and rotting him as you are hooking him, but then you're making your invoker basically useless for the rest of this. And if you just run up and rot this guy, he just dies, right?
Okay.
So if you run up and rot him, you might take an extra like 30-40 damage, but you keep the 140 mana, which is a big deal in the early game as Pudge.
I was just been these are my first 4 Pudge games, so I've just been like stoked to throw hooks.
Yeah, I got you.
But now I'm starting to see how the rot, like you're saying, like running them down.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, okay. Lol. I was like, wait, is there someone invis? I thought you got the invis at 4 minutes. This again is, you didn't need a hook there. You could have just ran at him and then saved the hook. And if you run at him here and you rot him down, like he's trying to do this juking shit, but just fucking let him waste a second running back and forth while you run at him and then rot him. And then he's going to be running back here, and then you throw the hook and you get it and you kill him when he's like about this far away from you, or like you're standing here and he's like standing like there. You can pretty much hit that hook 90% of the time, but any farther than that it's kind of risky. So like when he's in this range, you kind of want to throw that hook, and it helps a lot for your rot to still be on the guy to land the hook. Okay. But you die here and give him 134 gold that he shouldn't have. Let me get this one downloaded. Or is this the one we're already doing?
No, this should be... Yeah, it's this
one. And then, we have, like, 20 minutes left, 15 minutes left-ish. So when we're done with this, then we can go through and look at, your item decisions. Because Pudge is very flexible in his items. You can get, like, after Tranquils and Urn, you can get like Blink, you can get Force Staff, you can get Atos, you can get Ghost Scepter, you can get Lens, or Aether Lens. And here you should be trying to throw the hook and get the bounty rune. I guess it's cooldown though, so it's chances are the Tusk probably took it at the 8 minute mark. This is good. I wouldn't go mid after that because the sniper like obviously knows that you're in this. I'd probably go top and try and get a kill with the Huskar, because if you get a kill with this guy, then it basically means you won the lane. Any small help and kill advantage you can give a Huskar snowballs the shit out of his lane. So you could have been like up here right now and like helped kill this Lark or something. I actually don't think you would have ended up doing anything, but it's still like percentage wise it's the correct play. Lol, techies.
I don't understand why that last one, I tried to stack those ancients and they didn't go, the big one didn't go.
He's kind of annoying. If you let him attack, he like casts a spell and then he either just stands there or runs back. So if you want to stack it with the new ancients, you have to not let them get an attack off on you.
It's so much easier to stack as a range hero, I feel
yeah.
like.
Nice. You need to be rotting though.
Yeah, sorry, this is literally, I think this is my second game, so yeah. I'm really bad still.
Yeah. And you should have been using your urn on him.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if I do dismember, I can't toggle rot.
You can.
It won't end the dismember?
Nope. You can toggle it as many times as you want, which is really good against Rubik's. One thing to keep in mind, though, also against Rubik's, is there's a, like, I think it's called a backswing on Pudge's hook, which means that while the hook is going out, you're essentially stunned.
Right.
So, if you're playing against a really good Rubik, he can consistently get your hook if, like, he's either in range or he has a blink dagger or something like that, and you can't toggle your rot during that stun of your hook going out. So that's a very minor thing that might, like, come in handy, like, 6 months from now or something. But let's go and watch the other one. Do you think this is helpful, watching through all the early games?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know I gotta put some games in to get the timing down and shit.
Yeah.
Like study people's habits, because now I'm trying to look at what they're doing in a different way than I'm looking when I'm in lane,
It's a good thing to get in the habit of, because then you see team fights and you're more able to predict how the enemy is going to react, and that carries over to more than just Pudge, and that's something you don't really pay attention to unless you're playing Pudge.
Right.
What the fuck was this? You guys just let the lane up run up and take your bounty rune. And live. Okay, so the main thing with this is it's more important to keep in rot range than it is to get your auto attacks off. So if you just stayed on top of her and rotted her, she would have died.
Okay.
I still make that mistake sometimes, though, in my games. A lot less often, but still happens. And then this is a goon fest. You guys have a dual mid on the enemy, too?
Yeah, it's nuts. This was a single draft, I know that. This is how I got hooked.
I gotcha. Yeah. But Pudge is my boy. I have 3 times as many games played on him than anyone else, so...
Dude, it was like... I've always been super intimidated to play him, that's why.
He's fun as fuck, though.
People flame you when you do bad.
Yeah. It's good, though, because then you get in the mindset of not actually caring if you get flamed. It's more of like... There's a lot of things that if I played a 4K game as Pudge, I'd get flamed. So it's understanding that you can get flamed for doing the correct thing. So it's kind of like, alright, well, fuck off then.
Right, no, I hear you.
It's another one of the ranks, but yeah, I think we've covered most of the, like, we've covered most of the early game decisions, or the very basic things that are gonna pop out through watching an early game. I guess Earn is really good this game. The best thing to look for is you can earn the axe, and it stops his blink dagger. So your 800 gold item stops his 2200 gold item, and that's like all of his impact. And then you can get a windlace and move your Smoke of Deceit to your backpack. And I would probably be getting a blink dagger next, because it's very important to you go Atos, which I don't really like, because you have setup from this guy's pull, and you have setup from this guy's rupture. And then if you can just blink and hook rupture targets, that's a fuck ton of damage. Or if you can blink to keep up with the Storm Spirit.
Is it better when you have blink dagger? Is it better if you have a solo target to blink dismember, like blink rot, dismember rot, and then hook them as they try to run? Like you were saying, you know, like when they get
they're different tools for different situations. It's like an axe isn't better than a hammer. It's just a different tool.
Right.
And you have to look at it like such. Like if you, let's say you have a ward, you have a ward like right here, and you see a guy jungling right here, and you're right here. If you know you're going to be able to hit the hook with like 90% certainty or above, then it's better to not blink in to a dangerous area and then do the dismember hook shit. It's better to just like hook him and then dismember him there. But like if he's running around and there's a lot of creeps and let's say they're tier 1s down and you're in the trees over here and you have like your Bloodseeker and your Storm Spirit are like back here. And the hook's like a 50% chance, if that. It's better to blink and dismember him if you're pretty certain that there isn't just like a ton of enemies behind him. It's better to blink, dismember him, and then throw out the hook, and then your whole team would have shown up by then. So do you see how they're different tools for different situations?
Yeah, I got fucked a couple times blinking and dismembering, and then all of a sudden there's like 3 other people there.
Yeah, it's not that blink dismembering is bad, it's just understanding when it's which is the right tool, and sometimes like blinking dismembering is the right tool, but you can't do it because their whole team's right behind them.
Right.
So it's just getting a better feel for it and getting a better feel for the game as a whole. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, I gotcha.
So yeah, I would have gone blink because you kind of want to keep up with this guy because like let's say the same example here, the storm zips from like there onto this guy. You want to be able to like show up, and you don't want to hook the storm or the kills lost. And blink is also pretty decent because the range of getting this is 450, which is not that big. So unless you get like the kill with a hook, if they're outside of 450 range, you don't get any flesh heap stacks for it. So sometimes you can just blink in and get a stack that you wouldn't have got otherwise. On like, let's say you killed 4 of their 5 guys, and then your team's killing the last one, you can blink in and get the stack. I don't really like the blade mail. I would have much rather seen you get your blink dagger first item, like here, and then because it's the reasons with these guys, and you'll have pretty decent vision with the tracks, so it's easy to blink hook somebody. Like it's going back to what I was saying, if somebody knows that you're there and you're trying to throw a max range hook, it's really hard to. But if you blink and hook, they don't have the time to react to you throwing the hook nearly as much. So it's a good way to get more hooks in the same spot, blinking to the spot as opposed to walking to the spot, them seeing you walk there, and then you throwing the hook, and it's like super obvious. And then also, if you have a blink, you can just sit back and use your hook to counter this guy's ult. And against a Faceless Void is one of the main considerations that I have for Aghanim Scepter is if they have a Faceless Void on the enemy team. Because what that allows you to do is it allows you to throw out your hook and not care too much about Chrono. Whereas if you don't have an Ags, depending on the lineup, you kind of have to hold your hook for the Chronosphere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Okay. Because at the very worst, you can hook them 3 seconds after, because it's a it's a 4-second cooldown. So unless he ults like the very millisecond that you hook, but usually if you have an Ags, you hook them out either immediately or 1 or 2 seconds after they're in there, and they're not gonna get killed in like 1 or 2 seconds. So Ags are really good against this guy. The Atos is also really good against both of these guys because they can't blink out of it unless they like Manta off it. So I would have really liked to seen Blink Dagger. I probably even would have liked to have also seen a... I'm thinking next item you should either do... what is it? Glimmer Cape or Aether Lens. Because you have... this guy is locked down to make sure your hooks on your teammates hit. And then if you get a full range hook with Atos with this guy, it's a fuck ton of damage. And then it's also easier to catch this guy out. And one of the main things, outside of game specific, like hero specific things, I mean, my consideration of Aether Lens, like when I buy it, is based around when I think the enemy team is going to high ground. Because if you have an Aether Lens as a Pudge, it's a lot harder for the enemy team to high ground against you. And you having Aether Lens can mean they can't push anymore. So if we're getting shit on really hard, I'll try to rush the Aether Lens. But if the game's going super well and they might be able to turn it at 35-40 minutes, I'll wait until like 30 minutes before I start trying to like go for the Aether Lens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this game, the Blink would have been good for all the reasons. Glimmer Cape would have been really good against this guy, and it would have been shit against this guy. Yules is also often pretty good against the Axe if the Axe is like doing a lot of important shit. Axe counters a good bit of heroes, probably like a Bloodseeker, AM. Not so much Storm if the Storm's playing very like zippy. But squishy heroes that'll kill themselves on Blade Mail, which is the two that come to mind first are the Bloodseeker and the AM, and then I guess Huskar also. So if you have like heroes like that, you might want to consider getting a Yules just to pre-cast it on this guy, so when he blinks in on your Bloodseeker, you'll instantly Yules him, and your Bloodseeker won't die, and then this guy will be useless for the next 10 seconds or so, and you might be able to kill him before then. And then you basically delete all of the worth of one hero just by having your Yules and using it well.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on any of that?
No.
Right.
We'll give it a shot tomorrow and tonight.
Right.
So if I can have some more better applied videos for us.
And here there's, unless you're trying to hold high ground, there's no compelling reason for you to get the Aether Lens. Again, one thing to point out is your level 2 Rot goes through this girl's refractions, whereas your level 1 Rot doesn't, so if you're trying to gank her at level 3, that's something to consider. There's not too much to say about this. I probably would have gone Blink Dagger, because they don't really have any... They don't have any way to instantly stop your Blink Dagger. So if this guy runs at you, if any of them do anything at you, they're not going to pop your Blink Dagger. I guess traps now do it, maybe. But, yeah, so there's... it deals with all of them really well. And then I probably would have even gotten a Force Staff right after that, because the mobility is so good against all of these people. If they go on you and you just Force Staff away, they can't do anything anymore. Do you have any final questions? We're gonna wrap it up after I finish talking about these real quick.
No. I'm gonna go try to apply this early game stuff, and then we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha. Yeah, Heart's really good on this guy. I also like E-Blade. When you get the GPM talent, you can, if the game goes late, you can go Heart E-Blade and then just like blow people up, and it allows you to sell your tranquils and not really worry about your health problems anymore. The Atos is good because you guys have the techies, and you guys can make the game go forever if you want it to. The Spirit Vessel, there isn't really a compelling reason to get it. It doesn't really like do anything special this game. The Atos here is, again, nothing compelling. You were probably following a guide. This is your first game. If you're gonna go for the Atos, definitely go the bracers first. Like, you could have had the bracers. You probably could have had your first bracer at like 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and then you definitely would have had your second one by 17 minutes, and then for until 24 minutes, you're missing 12 strength. And the bracers will give you, or no, it's 14 strength now, so it's 280 health. And this only gives you 4 more intelligence than both of the bracers combined. So if you're going for Atos, on almost any hero, it's better to go the bracers, because even intelligence heroes value strength 1-for-1 higher than intelligence, and bracers have 7 strength and 3 intelligence. So not only is it cheaper, it has better stats, and you have 3 agility, and you can have 2 of them. But yeah, so no final questions or anything like that?
No, I'm anxious to go out there.
Yeah, Pudge is fun as shit. Get some games in. The starting build is yours is fine. You're not one sec. Alright, that's good. You don't seem to be too reliant on a wand. Like, you're not picking it up every game, which is good. It's not an every game item on Pudge, because you have a lot of your mana problems solved through this, and then all of your health problems solved through both of these. For at least for most games. So it's good that you're not picking it up every game. The things that I consider when I pick it up usually, there's a lot of small things that I don't know how to articulate, but the bigger things would be if the game is going horribly and if they have mana burn. Those are the 2 things that I consider on the higher level. Because if the game's going horribly, you can buy out the components of it, and then not only are you able to do that, but also if a game's going horribly, you're not going to get 6-slotted until like 20 minutes later than a good game, so you can hold on to your wand a lot longer. And then mana burn is obvious. It's just you can wand and get a hook that you couldn't without wand, and that can mean a kill, or you can ult or whatever. But yeah, so get a few games in, and then I think you still have time with me.
Yeah, I got one more from the other time.
Alright.
Maybe tomorrow or Sunday, depending on how many games I can get in.
Yeah, I got you.
I'd like to really learn this guy.
Yeah, he's fun as shit. I love him. He kind of like re-sparked my joy of Dotes. But yeah, so get a few games in, and then we'll try again. Try to get... actually, we should probably do it in 2 days, because, again, a lot of what Pudge is the early game. So, like, we had 5 games to go over, and we went through that in, like, 40 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, try to get, like, 15, 20.
Yeah, that would be awesome. If you could get a bunch of Pudge games, then we could just run through all of them.
Nice. Okay.
Alright, sounds good. I'll get the video up in however long, and then I'll send you the link.